So, they call me Ursula. What a laugh! What a crude, clumsy name. Heavy as an anchor, common as a gull on the pier. Ursula, a name meant to make children wrinkle their noses and whisper which with a shudder. But that is not, nor was it ever, my name. I heard the storytellers give it to me, mortals with ink-stained fingers, hunched over their parchment by candlelight. They needed a villain, someone to frighten, someone to blame. They could not bear to tarnish their darling heroine, so they painted me in shadows. And since they did not know my true name, they stitched a false one into their tale. Ursula. Ugly syllables for a beautiful queen. Yes, I said, queen. I was not some hag crouched in a cavern, muttering spells and stirring cauldrons of seaweed. I was the ruler of the deep. The blood of tides ran in my veins. The kelp forests bowed when I passed. The whales sang when I entered their waters, and the moon itself tilted its silver face to my seashell throne. My true name, Thalassa. Remember it, whisper it, and the sea will shiver. Thalassa, queen of the abyssal court. Thalassa, daughter of the storm, crowned by the ocean itself. Doesn't it roll off your tongue with the weight of power? Doesn't it feel like salt and thunder on your lips? That is the name the world has forgotten. The name my daughter buried. Ah, yes. The daughter? We will get to her soon enough. But first, you must understand why the humans and their storybooks and their songs and their silly plays with painted faces needed to give me a name like Ursula. They needed me to be monstrous, because if I were not, then who would their Little Mermaid be? You see, stories cannot survive without villains. People love their saints too much to admit that saints can sin, so they invent witches, monsters, sea hags. Me, it was easier to call me Ursula and make me a witch than to face the truth. Easier to imagine a sharp-tuned crone who brewed bargains in ink-black waters than to admit what really happened. A child stole from her mother, and the mother's crown fell with it. So here I am, for centuries, branded with this false name, Ursula. But hear me well, little one, for I know you are listening, leaning close, perhaps shivering at the waves that beat against your dreams. I am not Ursula. I am not a witch. I am not a villain in your bedtime story. I am Thalassa. I was queen. Do you feel it yet? The sting of salt on your skin, the hush of the tide pulling closer. That is not the sound of a witch's cackle. That is the sea calling you to listen, to finally hear my side. Because tonight, I take back my name. Do you want to know the truth, child? The heart of every kingdom is not its throne, nor its crown, nor its ruler's bloodline. It is its talisman. Mine was a seashell, not some fragile souvenir you pluck from the shore and press to your ear, listening for a whisper of waves. No. My shell was older than the tide itself. forged in the first clash between the moon's pull and the earth's refusal. It gleamed with a light that no pearl could match. Its ridges shimmered like storm clouds. Its heart burned like coral fire. It was not carved by hands. It was born of the ocean's will, and it chose me, a great scalloped pendant, glowing against my breast. It pulsed with life, as though the ocean itself breathed through it. With every beat, the whales turned their heads toward me. The sharks swam docile at my command, and the tides bent to my whispers. Even the storms above would hush when I raised the shell. But its greatest magic, you will lean in closer for this, was the gift of beauty. With the shell near me, I was radiant. My skin glowed as though lit by moonlight beneath the waves. My hair swam about me in ribbons of silver and obsidian. Unbound by time, my eyes shone like the sea at dawn, endless, ageless, fierce. I was not merely queen. I was eternal. Do you know what the sea does? When it loves you, it cradles you, polishes you, makes you glitter like sun on water. And do you know what it does when it abandons you? It pulls you down, deeper and deeper, until your beauty rusts away into barnacle and bone. That is what I become without my shell, the husk of a queen. Skin like kelp left too long in the sun. Hair knotted, eyes clouded, voice cracked with salt. A horror story mothers hiss to their children when they stray too far into the waves. That is why they called me witch, because they saw me once without it. Because they did not know it had been stolen. Stolen. By whom, you ask? That is the bitterest taste of all. By my own blood. My daughter, the little thief who slipped it from me, carried it into the air above the waves, and dared to wish for legs. But let us not rush to her yet. Stay with me here, in this memory of power. Picture it. Me, seated on a throne of coral, the seashell glowing at my heart, my voice carrying through every current, my beauty eternal, my strength unquestioned. That shell was not merely ornament. It was my kingdom, my crown, my soul. And when she stole it, when she stole me, the stories changed. My name twisted, my face turned monstrous in the eyes of mortals. My throne sank into shadow. I wonder, sometimes, when you hear the name Ursula, do you picture the shell? Do you picture some ugly creature, clutching it like a stolen treasure, whispering foul bargains through her jagged teeth? That is the story my daughter gave the world. That is the lie she fed them, so she could keep her legs, her prince, her human fairy tale. But the truth is this: I was never the hag. I was the queen. And the seashell, my seashell, was the heart of it all. Even now, as I speak to you, I can feel it humming across the waves. It has never left me entirely. It beats somewhere in the distance, a pulse in the water, like my own heart torn out but still alive. It waits for me. Or perhaps it mocks me. So we come at last to the wound that never healed. The one story your bedtime stories never dared to tell you truthfully. Yes, child, the Little Mermaid they sang of in picture books and plays was no stranger to me. She was no distant supplicant who crawled into my lair begging for magic. She was not some nameless mermaid who traded her voice for love. No, she was my daughter, my own blood. She was born with hair like spun gold, and eyes like green glass, polished by the tide. From the moment she could swim, the kingdom adored her. The dolphins carried her on their backs. The seahorses trailed behind her in neat little rows. Even the jellyfish lit her way when she wandered too far into the dark. She had a laugh that rippled through the water like sunlight. I loved her. Fiercely, madly, as only a queen who has given everything to her people can still find scraps left for her child. I gave her pearls to weave into her hair. I taught her the songs that bend the currents, and when she cried in the night, I wrapped her in kelp-soft blankets and sang her to sleep with the lullabies of ancient whales. She was mine. But daughters grow, and with their growth comes hunger. She began to stare upward more than downward. She watched the ships glide on the horizon and hummed their strange, alien tunes. She asked questions about the air, the sky, the fireflies she had glimpsed dancing over the surface on a summer night. Questions are harmless. You say, perhaps. But obsession is not. I saw it in her eyes. The world above was a fever in her veins, and I, who had ruled the kingdom for centuries, told myself she will outgrow it. She will learn the weight of her crown. But dreams, when denied, ferment into poison. The seashell, my talisman. She knew what it could do. I had warned her all her life. Without this, the ocean forgets me. Without this, I unravel. I told her of its power, yes, but I also told her of its cost. It was born of the ocean's blood, I said. It was not made for foolish games. To wield it is to change your fate forever. But children rarely listen when mothers speak sense. They hear only what they wish. Power, transformation, escape. The night it happened, the water was still, not a single current stirred. I should have known then. The sea itself holds its breath before tragedy. That upon its pedestal the seashell glowed faintly, dreaming in its light. I slept, weary from my counsel, trusting her, never imagining betrayal could swim so near. She lifted it in both hands, her reflection caught in its sheen. For one terrible moment, she hesitated, though I slept. The seashell's cry pierced me. A mother knows when her heart is being stolen. And then she whispered her wish. Not for peace, not for wisdom, not even for love in its truest sense, but 4 legs, legs to walk upon the shore, legs to dance where no fin could glide, legs to chase after a boy with eyes like the storm. Do you hear how pitiful it sounds when spoken aloud? An empire undone for the sake of legs. The seashell shuddered, cracked its glow open like dawn breaking, and in a torrent of light she changed. Her tail, once strong and graceful, split into fragile limbs. She screamed, oh, how she screamed! For the transformation is no gentle thing. It tears bone from bone, muscle from muscle, fin from flesh. It is agony to remake oneself against nature's decree. And yet, when the light faded, she stood. She stood on trembling, miraculous legs, naked to the salt air, hair streaming about her shoulders, a smile breaking through tears. Do you know what she did then? Did she look back at me, slumbering on my throne, and whisper thanks? Did she kiss my brow and beg forgiveness? She left the shell drained and hollow in her wake, and she ran toward the surface, toward her fantasy of castles and princes. By the time I woke, the chamber was silent, the pedestal bare. And when I rose, I felt it instantly. The change, my skin sagged, as though years had devoured me in a single hour. My hair dulled, knotted like seaweed caught in rocks. My reflection in the coral mirror was no queen, it was nightmare. A monster's face stared back. That is how the first whispers began. The queen is cursed. The queen is a witch. The queen is no longer ours. Her theft was not enough. No, she gilded her betrayal with lies. When the mortals found her limping, voiceless, she told them instead that she had bargained with a wicked sea witch, that she had paid a price bravely, tragically, for love. And the mortals, oh, how they adore a tragedy wrapped in beauty. They ate her story like sugared fruit. Even my own people began to doubt when they saw my withered face. When they heard the rumors carried by the currents, they turned. The dolphins avoided me. The whales ceased their songs. The kingdom that once bent knee to me whispered instead, "Witch, Ursula." Yes, that name again. That insult born of a playwright's pen, sharpened by my daughter's betrayal. She stole my talisman, and then she stole my story. She rewrote me as villain so she could be heroine. And I was left alone in the ruins of my throne, stripped of beauty, stripped of trust, stripped of name. Tell me, who is the monster here? Do you want to know the cruelest kind of curse? Child, it is not poison in your veins, nor shackles at your wrists. It is not storm or silence or salt in the wound. No, the cruelest curse of all is a story told, wrong and believed. My daughter, that golden-haired thief of hearts, did not simply flee with her new legs. She carried with her a script, a clever tale rehearsed and polished, dripping like honey from her lips. When the humans found her washed up, shivering, beautiful in her helplessness, she spoke of sacrifice, of bravery, of love so great she had given up her very voice. Not stolen, no, not ripped from her by a greedy daughter's hand. No, she said, taken from her by a sea witch, and oh, how mortals love their villains. How they hunger for a horned shadow, a cackling hag to boo and hiss at while they clutch their delicate pearls. A heroine is not complete without an enemy, after all, and so she gave them me. In her version, I was a schemer lurking in coral caves, whispering bargains. I was grotesque, laughable, a monster drawn in thick, ugly strokes so that she might gleam brighter. Every beauty requires a contrast, and I was made the darkness to frame her light. She told them I demanded her voice in payment, that I coiled around her like a serpent, that I delighted in her suffering. Lies, lies, lies. But lies told with a trembling hand and bright eyes are more powerful than truth whispered by a withered queen at the bottom of the sea. The humans ate her tale as though it were feast. They dressed it in plays and songs. They painted murals of her noble sacrifice, her sweet face tilted upward, her lips sealed by my supposed curse and me. I was ink and shadow, always leering, always wicked. The story spread, carried by sailors to every port, scribbled into books, staged in candlelit halls. Mortals crave repetition, and with each retelling, the lie grew roots. My truth was buried deeper with every song sung, every page turned. Soon, even the sea itself whispered it back to me. Fish darted past and shuddered. Seals barked my name in warning. The youngest mermaids, those I had once cradled in my arms, trembled and hid. They no longer saw their queen. They saw the caricature their sister had painted. The witch, the villainess, the hag. She cursed me not with magic, but with memory. Do you understand the weight of that line, child? She never had to raise a hand against me. She never cast a spell. She wielded something far more devastating. Story? She carved her lie into the memory of 1,000 hearts. And memory is the heaviest chain of all. I tried at first to fight it, to tell my people the truth. But my words bounced back, hollow, distorted. A mother defending herself always sounds guilty, doesn't she? My cracked reflection only proved their suspicions. Who would believe the twisted, withered queen when the golden child danced upon her stolen legs, radiant and beloved? And so the tale calcified, the legend hardened. The villain became me, forever. And do you know the worst of it? They forgot my name. Yes, my true name, ancient, noble, carved in the tides for centuries, was swept away. In its place, the mortals gave me a new one. Ursula, a word that sticks like seaweed in the teeth. Ungraceful, harsh, a name not of the sea, but of stagecraft, born not of waves, but of ink scratched onto a playwright's scroll. And in naming, they bound me from then on. I was not queen, nor mother, nor even woman. I was villain, Ursula. Do you feel the cruelty? Do you see how her curse word, a memory so strong it drowned my truth? And now, wherever I swim, I am haunted not by what I was, but by what they say. I am loneliness. That is the truest poison, child. It doesn't strike in an instant, like venom from a serpent. No, it drips slowly, steadily until it seeps into every hollow of your bones. It curls up inside your chest and makes its nest there. A parasite that feeds on the silence. And, oh, I have had silence, centuries of it. You see, when my daughter stole the seashell, she did not simply rob me of beauty. She robbed me of the one thing that bound my kingdom to me. Their loyalty. For as long as that talisman pulsed at my throat, the currents bent at my command. The whales sang my name in reverence. The tides rose when I called them. Without it, the ocean grew restless. The currents turned their faces from me. Even the waves recoiled as though they had never known my touch. So I retreated. The caves became my cathedral. The shadows my only companions. Once sheltered under my reimagined, I dared not emerge. For what would they see? Not their queen, not the sovereign who bound storms and commanded dolphins to leap in arches of joy. No, they would see the thing I had become. Do you know what happens when the seashell is gone from my breast? You have seen glimpses, perhaps twisted arms, the heavy form, the skin thickened like kelp. Dragged from the deep, a monster, my beauty was never vanity. It was the outer shape of the power within me. When it was torn away, all that remained was the raw, unguarded truth of me. And it is not kind to behold. Meanwhile, she thrives. Up there, above the waves, my daughter wears the talisman as though it were nothing more than a trinket, a bauble strung about her neck. With it, she has kept her youth, her beauty, her endless glow. Do you understand? Years pass, decades fold into centuries, yet her face does not wither, her skin does not dull. She walks among mortals as an immortal masquerading. As one of them, the seashell sustains her. It feeds her every moment of radiance. And me, I am left to fade. There are nights when I rise to the surface, careful to keep to the mists, and I see her, my daughter, dancing still, her face untouched by time. At first with her human prince, and later alone, and later still among his descendants. She smiles that smile, the one I once kissed when she was but a child, and no one questions why she has not aged a day. They call her blessed, they call her divine, and I, her mother, am cursed. You ask? If I hate her, my heart wars with itself, even now. Rage. Yes, a burning rage that boils hotter than the volcanic vents of the ocean floor. She stole what was mine. She cast me into shadow. She slandered me with lies and feasted on the adoration that should have been mine. And yet grief, too. Always grief. For I cannot untangle my fury from my sorrow. She was my daughter, my own flesh, my own scales, my little pearl hidden in the folds of my hair. I remember teaching her the language of dolphins. I remember how she clutched my hand the first time we swam into a storm, frightened but trusting. And I remember how her eyes shone with hunger. Not for food, not for treasure, but for the horizon. Did I give her too much freedom? Did I not bind her close enough to me? Or did I, in trying to shape her into a queen, drive her into the arms of the humans she so admired? These questions gnaw at me. They claw at my belly more viciously than any shark. Do not mistake me. I am a queen who has sharpened her grief into claws. I have whispered storms into being, hoping they might strike her ship and drag her down. I have lured sailors to their deaths simply to hear the sea roar with fear again. And yet, when I close my eyes, it is not her face I see drowned. It is the child I once cradled, and that thought undoes me. Loneliness, rage, twist together like strands of kelp. There are days when I burn with fury so hot I could set the very ocean ablaze. There are days when I sink into silence so deep I could let the sea swallow me whole and not fight it, but always I rise again. Always I linger, for I am bound to my daughter's betrayal, bound to this exile, bound to this story that was written for me, not by me, and the cruelest cut. She still wears my seashell, my heart, my life, my crown. She wears it while I waste away. Tell me, child, tell me, do you think a mother can forgive such a wound? So here it is, the part where I must lower my guard, peel back the armor, and show you what lurks beneath. You've heard my story, or at least the story as I have lived it. But every tale needs its confession, doesn't it? Every villain must stand and declare what made them so. They say, I am bitter. They say my tongue is sharp enough to cut stone. They say my heart is as cold as the deep trench, the place where sunlight has never touched. And perhaps, in some ways, they are right. Bitterness has clung to me as barnacles cling to a wreck. I speak with barbs because barbs are all that remain when tenderness is stripped away. And yes, I have learned to freeze my own heart. It was the only way to survive in exile, when the voices I loved most were turned against me. But hear me now, child, before you let their stories close the book on me forever. I was a mother first, before I was ever a monster. Do you understand? Before the seashell, before the throne, before the legends twisted my name, I was nothing more and nothing less than a mother. My daughter was not my subject, not my rival, not my betrayer. She was mine, my pearl in the dark, my song in the storm. When she cried, I held her against my chest. When she laughed, I swore the ocean itself brightened. When she dreamed of the surface, I worried, yes, but still I let her dream. For I thought foolishly that love was anchor enough to keep her near. So when she stole from me, it was not only the seashell she took the face I had once shown her. She took the warmth I had once given. She took my belief that she would never raise her hand against me. That is the true wound, deeper than the loss of power, sharper than the jeers of the court, more suffocating than the loneliness of these caverns. It was the betrayal of love, and so, yes, I hardened. Yes, I bared my teeth. Yes, I let the world think me cruel, because cruelty at least gave me a mask to hide behind. What use was softness when it had been trampled? What use was gentleness when it had been weaponized against me? I learned that if they would call me a witch, I might as well wear the name like armor. If they would paint me as a monster, I might as well roar with the voice of one. But sometimes, when the sea lies still and the world above is asleep, I wonder, does she remember? Does she remember my real face? Not this withered mask that the stories have carved into me. Not the twisted image she fed to the humans, but me, the woman who rocked her to sleep in a bed of coral, who sang lullabies carried by the current, who brushed her hair with combs carved from pearl. Does she ever think of me that way? Or am I only the shadow she cast? Only the warning whispered to wide-eyed children who crave the surface too much? You see, it is a cruel thing to be erased by your own child, to be remembered not for the love you gave, but for the venom they save you spat. I rage. Yes, but beneath the rage lies something heavier. Grief. That is the truth of my confession. Grief that I was made into a tale. And in that tale, I lost the one thing I could never replace, her memory of me. Sometimes I dream, I admit it, though I should not, as she might look at the seashell one day and feel not only pride at her beauty, but a sting of remembrance, that she might whisper, "This was my mother's," that in some quiet corner of her heart, she might still mourn me as I mourn her. But dreams are for mortals. I am no longer permitted such weakness, and so I endure with my bitterness, with my sharp tongue, with my cold heart. But do not let those words fool you into thinking that is all I am. I was a queen. Yes, I was a sorceress. Yes, I was betrayed, abandoned, and cursed into the role of monster. But before all that, before the legends and the lies and the names they pinned upon me, I was a mother. And perhaps, when the seas grow still for the last time, that is all I will ever want to be remembered as. Lean closer, little one. The sea is quieter now. The currents have stilled as if they, too, are holding their breath. You've heard my story. The tale of a queen turned into a monster, of a mother betrayed by her own blood. But there's one last thing I've never spoken aloud, not to my court, not to the fishes who still dare approach, not even to the empty chambers of this drowned palace. This is my secret, and if you're hearing it, then you're closer to the truth than any mortal has been in 1,000 tides. The seashell. Yes, the talisman, the shining thing the humans only see as a trinket in their storybooks. They think of it as a charm, a bauble, a convenient plot device, but it is more than that. It holds not just my beauty and power, but my will, my blood, my breath, my life. Without it, I wither. Without it, my voice cracks, my skin puckers, my fins split into ragged edges. Without it, I become what the legends already call me. A crone, a hag, a monster whose face could curdle even the warmest tide. And yet, it sustains her now. My daughter, she wears it like an ornament, not knowing, or perhaps knowing too well, that it is the thing keeping her human face ageless. Among the landfolk she glides like a jewel, never aging, always beautiful, forever enchanting. They whisper of her grace, never guessing the truth. They think she has won some bargain, when in fact she is still feeding on what was once mine. Here is the secret I have never told. If she loses it, she will wither instantly. Her legs will falter, her skin will gray, her voice will crumble into foam. She will return to the sea, not as a princess, but as a ghost, her borrowed years dissolving like salt on the wind. This is the cost she pretends not to see. This is the price hidden beneath her lies. She may rewrite my story. She may call me witch or monster. She may cast herself as innocent maiden in every tale the humans adore. But she is nothing without that shell. Nothing but my child, stripped of the power she stole. And if... listen carefully now, for this is the true marrow of my warning. If the seashell ever finds its way back to me, then the world will know who I truly am. I will not be the hag they painted. I will not be the villain they've memorized. I will rise from these trenches. The currents will surge at my call, and every kingdom above and below will remember the name they tried to erase. I will be queen again, as I was before the lies and the theft, before the humans learned to twist legends like nets around our throats. The seashell is not just my power. It is my restoration. Part of me trembles, because my heart is not stone, however hard I pretend. Even now, some soft part of me hopes she never drops it, that she keeps it, clutches it, hides it away, and stays safe. Because if she keeps it, she lives. And if she lives, then some small thread of what I once loved remains in the world, even if it no longer knows my name. But hear me, you who listen in the dark. If it comes back to me, the tide will shift. The ocean remembers every slight, every wound, every cry that went unheard. And so do I. When that day comes, if it comes, no storm will be strong enough to drown my return. This is my confession. This is my threat. This is my promise. I was a mother before I was a monster. I was a queen before I was a witch. And should my heart ever be returned to me, the sea will rise and the world will remember. The currents sigh. The shells tremble. The deep water presses in. You feel it too, don't you? The hush before something vast moves. Hold this secret close. Whisper it to no one, and when you hear the ocean roaring in your sleep, know it is not only the tide, it is me, watching, waiting, remembering.